Hi, I'm Scottlin, and welcome to my live Tuesday show, Motivation Mythbusters. So glad to have you here today. I hope you're having a good week so far. Thank you for listening, and please give today's show a thumbs up and subscribe below to get notifications next time I go live. Today on Motivation Mythbusters, I am talking about fuel. Wait, what? Yep, fuel. If you have ever had any difficulty staying motivated, I want to check and see what kind of fuel you've been using to drive you forward towards your goal. And I'm going to let you in on the very best kind. But before I do that, I'd like to give a shout out to a couple of my listeners who wrote in regarding my episode last week on Motivation Mythbusters about fantasy fear. One listener is a professional musician from Kent, United Kingdom, and writes, "Yes, you don't have to beat the fear. You just have to realize it doesn't exist." Inspired podcast. Thanks, Anne. And another listener, Danny from the country of Colombia, wrote, "Well, now I cannot stop listening to you, Anne. Keep going. I love the way you choose the topics and make me believe. There is so much to learn every day. Thank you so much." Well, thanks so much to both of you for writing in. I'm so glad to have you listening in Colombia, listening to the show in Kent, UK. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you're listening to this show today. I really appreciate your encouragement. And it makes a difference for me to hear how this broadcast is helping you. And to all of the rest of you listening, please send in any questions you'd like to hear me address on the show, as well as your comments. And I'll be picking at least one for a response or shout out on my next show. So leave your comments below, or you can respond under this episode's post on Twitter. That's at Anne Scottlin. That's ANNESCOTTLIN. I love hearing from each of you. So today on Motivation Mythbusters, let me ask you this. Have you ever wished you could reach a certain goal in your life? Have you tried? Have you made an effort and still not seen results? Well, maybe you just haven't been using the right kind of fuel. What kind of fuel are you running on when you try to achieve your goals? Is it sustainable? I'm getting ready to climb Mount Whitney in California next weekend. I can't even believe this is just a few days away. Mount Whitney is the tallest mountain in the contiguous United States. The peak has an elevation of over 14,500 feet, or that's over 4,420 meters. That's just a little higher than Mount Rainier, the glacial volcano near Seattle, Washington, which I've also climbed and talked about on this show. So I'm getting ready for this climb of Mount Whitney next weekend, and I'm taking a lot of the things you would expect. I'm taking lots of water. I will filter more. I have a water filter, and I'll filter more from the lakes on the way up because you can't carry enough. I'm taking good sun protection. I've got great boots, and most importantly, I need to be sure that I take the right kind of fuel. I'm doing this climb round trip in one day. So I could easily burn a whopping 10,000 calories. That's 10,000 kilocalories, or about 42 kilojoules. So I have to plan on the right kinds of fuel, the right kinds of foods, healthy foods that can support hiking 22 miles, half of that straight uphill, or about 36 kilometers round trip. And not only do I have the distance to contend with and the slope, I have to hike at an elevation that has thin air. Not much to breathe over 14,000 feet. So the fuel I choose is very important. I'm a vegetarian, so I have to plan some good protein sources and healthy fats and an enormous amount of carbohydrates. Now, if I just grabbed some junk food and stuck it in my pack, or a few liters of Coca-Cola, I might still make it, but chances are without balanced and planned eating of healthy ingredients, I might not make it. Or if I did, I'd be miserable beyond words. A lot of the food I'm bringing includes whole grains, almond butter, dried fruit, and dates for some concentrated natural sugar, and making sure I have enough electrolytes too. Now, maybe that's not your idea of a favorite hiking meal, but that's what kind of makes me tick. I've learned that over the years. It gives me good, sustained energy and gets me to the top and back. Well, your goal doesn't have to be conquering a mountain, but it still matters enormously what kind of fuel your motivation is running on. Have you ever noticed that sometimes when you think you feel motivated, you take action and you do achieve your objective? And other times when you think you feel motivated, you still don't take action, or even if you do, it's short-lived and fades away? Why does motivation seem to work sometimes but not others? People ask me this all the time. My clients ask me this all the time. Well, the answer is because sometimes what we think motivation isn't really what it is at all. Have you ever wished that you could achieve your goal? I mean, really, really wished it with all your heart. Well, I'm glad you're thinking about your goal. But if your wishing could accomplish it, then that's all it really is if it didn't. Wishing. Wishing is just thinking. Wishing is not even doing. Have you ever tried to achieve your goal? I mean, really tried. You actually did something to work towards it, but somehow you still didn't achieve it? That is so terribly frustrating, isn't it? That's because that although trying is doing, trying is not often or always a sustainable fuel. That's because generally, yep, you guessed it, wishing and trying are still based on feeling. Wishing is the feeling that you want to get motivated. And trying is the belief that you feel motivated enough to do something about it, and you do try for as long as you feel motivated. Oops. And then when you don't feel motivated anymore, you tend to stop. If feeling was a magic wand that we could wave to propel ourselves into taking consistent, ongoing action toward achieving our goals, then we would get very good at jazzing ourselves up and getting revved up, getting high on adrenaline, drink dangerously high amounts of espresso maybe. Does coffee work? Well, yeah, sometimes. It does force our physical bodies sometimes to get moving to an adrenaline-like state that sometimes makes it feel easier to seem motivated, to appear motivated, and that makes it feel easier to get things done. So nothing against a little coffee, but it isn't also the exact sustainable fuel for motivation that I had in mind. We have this adrenaline myth in our heads about motivation. We feel that when we're energized and charged up that we've entered the zone of highly effective motivation. Well, the bad news is that this feeling of quote-unquote motivation is generally unsustainable. I see this in my clients all the time, and I used to see this all the time in my own life. So my freshman year in college, for example, boy, there's always a story from freshman year, isn't there? So my freshman year in college, I was taking a double major, a very heavy load of classes, and I fell into the habit of cramming for tests. I would be so overwhelmed or scared by a tough test that sometimes I'd actually avoid studying for it. Then I would get to the day or so before. I'd start to panic. In fact, I would literally sometimes wait to start studying until I began to feel, notice the word feel, until I began to feel panic. Then my adrenaline would kick in and I would do an epic all-nighter, cramming my head with information, and then sometimes with no sleep, rush off in the morning to an 8 a.m. exam. And I would usually pass, but by a few days later, I basically couldn't remember anything I had learned. Have any of you ever been there? My motivation was not sustainable. It only came in these bursts because my motivation was feeling based. It was adrenaline based. I was trying to get a good grade, but I wasn't fully dedicated to the process of deep absorption and learning. It was a bad habit and one that I worked to change over the following years. I realized I had to start over. I had to find out what made me dedicated to my work and tap into that for the long haul, to get good grades, yes, but more importantly, to master my subjects so I would finish college with a genuine education. And because what I was learning was becoming more and more important to my real life. So motivation is not sustainable by feeling alone or by adrenaline alone. That kind of motivation is like eating emotional fast food. You get that sugar and caffeine-like boost of energy and busy activity, but it only lasts a short time. And when the high is gone, you feel a bit depressed and overwhelmed again. You start punishing yourself with a lot of negative self-talk in your head, saying that you're a failure at staying motivated. I'm a failure at staying motivated, and other negative self-talk. And at that point, the last thing you feel like doing is starting over. You don't feel like trying anymore. Maybe you're hardly even daring to wish anymore. Have you ever been there? Be honest. Well, obviously I have. Have you ever experienced this unwillingness to start over? So what is the secret fuel to motivation? Something much more powerful than those fast foods of wishing and trying. Well, yeah, I already mentioned it. The secret fuel to sustained motivation is dedication, even if that means starting over. Starting over, it's not something we often think about when we think of motivation. Why would I think about starting over when I'm thinking about motivation? Either you are or you aren't. We often think of motivation as a means to an end rather than a consistent habit formed by dedication. Have you ever seen weaver birds? You guys know I love birds, so here's another one of my favorites, the weaver birds. Have you ever seen them in nature or on TV or on National Geographic? These small birds are some of the master weavers in the world, and they are found in the greatest concentrations in sub-Saharan Africa. These incredible little birds weave elaborate basket-like nests suspended below a branch and built from little blades of grass and green material. It's a grandiose effort. They look for these pieces of grass and they weave these little blades into their nests with their beaks. Incredible skill and tact. The male birds build these nests to lure prospective females. Well, sometimes they build up to 10 nests, never knowing which one of them will do the trick. Females come by and check out the nests, but if she doesn't like it, she doesn't stay and moves on. And females happen to be more attracted to newer, greener nests, probably because they're safer. But if the nests get too dried out and brown, the female is usually less interested. But the male bird, who may have already built 10 nests, is dedicated to his mission. Sometimes he will tear down those old brown nests and build new, fresh, green ones in the same place. The motivation of the male weaver bird is one of dedication. He is willing to start over and start over and over again until he gets the winning combination and his lady is ready to take the nest. Well, here's a secret about them, about their dedication. Real lasting motivation is usually only sustainable by, you guessed it, that fuel of dedication, not by wishing, not by trying, but by dedication. It's like 3 people who want to lose 5 pounds, for example, right? The first one says, I really wish I could lose 5 pounds. I really want to. How many of us can relate to that, huh? But that's about as far as they get. Wishing. They wish, they want, they hope, but they really don't do anything about it. They might say they're motivated, but they're really not. The second person says, I am trying to lose 5 pounds. I know I'd feel better, and I am going to start walking every single day. Good for them. I am proud of them. In this instance, they have a degree of motivation. They have decided to try. The first week they walk every day. The second week they walk 3 days. The third week they go on vacation and decide to pick up walking again when they get back. And when they do get back, yeah, they do walk occasionally. They do try. You may have been there. But their success is likely to be limited, and as we all know, it's often unsustainable. They were trying to lose 5 pounds. The third person says, hey, my goal is to climb that mountain over there with my friend. We have scheduled it for 3 months from now. We are going on a trip. We are climbing this mountain I have always wanted to climb. I'm excited because my friend has agreed to do it too, and this is going to be so much fun. For this to be the best experience possible, for this climb to be the best experience possible, and for me to have the energy to sustain the climb, I am going to lose 5 pounds over the next 3 months. Now, this third person has a meaningful goal in mind. It's not just losing the 5 pounds, maybe so their jeans fit better. It's the idea that they want to climb a mountain more easily and have a better time doing it. It's a bigger picture. This person likely has learned that dedication often involves putting systems of support into place. So he might say, in fact, I got my friend to also commit to losing 5 pounds over the next 3 months, and we're going to hold each other accountable. The same friend that I'm going to climb the mountain with. I've also created an achievable exercise plan. I've also created a sustainable eating plan. And I will be losing those 5 pounds. In fact, I am so excited about it, and I am dedicated. Dedication is the sustainable fuel of motivation. Dedication is the sustainable fuel of motivation. So here's a good point. If you're only wishing to be motivated about something, well, at least you're thinking about it. Good for you. But chances are you won't get very far. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. If you're trying to be motivated and achieve a goal, that's great. I am impressed. You have decided to take some steps in your attempt to create change. But if you're only trying, you may discover that your efforts are not sustainable. Your desire for that outcome that you want to achieve may just not be strong enough. But I would encourage you to go to the next level. Instead of just trying to stay motivated, I would encourage you to look within, to carefully examine your need or desire and see if you are really dedicated. Do you want your desired outcome so much that you are really and truly ready to create a plan, to create accountability, to set concrete goals, and to do whatever it takes to achieve it? Are you ready to be dedicated? If you're not, guess what? That's okay too. But be honest with yourself. Don't set yourself up for failure because your motivation is limited by just wishing or limited by a little trying. I would rather see you decide to abandon many adventures altogether for now than to see you keep punishing yourself for your so-called failures at these things you have wished for or things you have tried for. Give yourself a break and instead take some time for self-examination. Being honest with yourself is the first step into discovering how to tap into the kind of motivation that is fueled by dedication. And if necessary, dedication means even a willingness to start over. Decide to stop trying and wishing and failing. Decide that the next true goal you set is a goal that motivates you so deeply that it is sustainable. Decide to set goals that you are willing to be dedicated to. Whether this is dedication to your relationships, dedication to your job, to your dreams, dedication to your health, to your spiritual or emotional wellness, to anything. And like that weaver bird, a commitment to dedication should also include that willingness to start over. You know, entrepreneurs face this all the time. When they hit a major setback, it is those individuals with dedication, with the willingness to start over, that can stay motivated toward their long-term end goal. They maintain motivation to keep trying because they are dedicated. Or if they try hard and still run into unavoidable failure, economy, or other things beyond their control, then they start over with a new goal and they adapt and pivot their efforts into a more achievable plan. Dedication is a huge step and one that not many people are willing to take. So be gentle with yourself. Give yourself time. Be sure you're ready to commit, that you are really, truly ready to be dedicated. I'm going to leave you with a quote from my upcoming book, Windows of Life, and here it is. Wishing is desire without effort. Trying is the desire to make an effort when it's not inconvenient. Dedication is consistent effort and the willingness to start over. Again, wishing is desire without effort. Trying is the desire to make an effort when it's not too inconvenient. Dedication is consistent effort and the willingness to start over. Well, our time is nearly up. Thank you so much for joining me here on Motivation Mythbusters. If you happen to join me partway through the live broadcast, this episode will be up on my website 24 hours after it airs. So check me out on my website, AnneScottlinCoaching.com. And please join my other followers on Twitter if you haven't already at Anne Scottlin, ANNESCOTTLIN, for several daily doses of motivation and inspiration. And again, please give today's show a thumbs up and subscribe to get notifications when I go live. And please, I hope you added your questions and comments below as well. I will definitely be checking those. I hope our time together today has given you some food for thought. Thank you for letting me be part of your journey. I'm Anne Scottlin. See you next time.